If you'd like to be a guest on the show, the application form is in the show notes. We can discuss emotional abuse, toxic or narcissistic relationships of any kind, parenting after trauma, ADHD, autism, or parenting ADHD or autism. I would love to hear from you. As ever, take care. Bye. Coming up in this week's episode.
I never had a rebellious phase. I never cut off all my hair and dyed it pink. I didn't go out with boyfriends that were unsuitable. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I don't drive fast. Like, I didn't do any of those things.
You didn't live, Catherine. Welcome to The Liberation Effect with me, your host, Helen Villas. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Liberation Effect. Today I'm joined by Catherine, who wants to make peace with being the invisible child in her family, but also at looking at how that's impacting her other relationships, particularly at home with her husband, at work, and also on top of that, noticing how her husband's need to form a bond with her parents after losing his own is impacting her and maybe their relationship. Catherine, is that a fair summary? Have I captured that correctly?
I think so, yes. Definitely.
Okay, good. So, if we were going to look at one thing or what you want to leave with today from our time together, what would it be?
I think what would be most beneficial for me is getting a way of noticing that I'm starting to feel invisible. Before I am starting to say, like, see me, pick me.
Okay.
Doing more and more to not feel invisible.
Okay.
That would be the one thing. And then the other would be, especially with my husband, he didn't lose both his parents. He lost his father very young.
I'm sorry.
His mom is still with us. But would be to respect the fact that he wants to have a specific relationship with my parents.
Right.
That is different from mine. And making, if possible, making space for it, or articulating to him maybe that what you want to do at the moment, like, that's your relationship with my parents. I have a different need because they're different with him than they are with me. Right. So I think those two things, like picking up quicker, that I have this pick me energy.
Okay.
And then allowing space for him to have a different relationship.
But both are tying into the invisibility.
It is, definitely.
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit of background context of how you experienced being invisible growing up and then how you experience it now? But if you start with the growing up kind of invisibility.
Okay, so I am the youngest of three. I'm also the only daughter. So I'm not sure they talk about eldest daughters, if it fits you when you're the only daughter and the youngest. I'm not
sure.
It
can do. Yeah, but I mean, everything's sort of different. You can't always account. Yeah, you can't always account for it being exactly the same. So go on, sorry.
So I'm the youngest of three. I have a middle brother who's just 18 months older than me, who has always been the golden child. Seems to be from birth, from what my mom tells about his birth and how he came to be. And then I have an older brother. He's 5 years older than me, and he has always been the scapegoat. Also, seemingly from birth, from stories that my mom has told us.
Okay.
And then I am the youngest one. I have also been told since I can remember that, like, I wasn't planned. My middle brother wasn't planned. My mom wasn't planning on having any kids after the surprise of my middle brother. And then I popped out.
Right.
So it's always been, and my younger brother has had health issues when he was younger, which I didn't. I was a fairly normal, quiet, or healthy, I should rather say, healthy child.
Yeah.
But it's just always been this thing where my eldest brother was always in trouble, either for something he said or something he did. And then my youngest brother was just sickly, and we shouldn't upset him too much. And Yes. And then with my parents, my mom didn't work. My dad worked full time, but my dad is not a very hands-on, affectionate
Okay.
type of father. He was never, he was there, but it was like he was absent emotionally.
Right. Yeah. So he was physically present, but emotionally distant.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. And I
You said,
also, oh, sorry.
go on.
I,
No,
I,
carry on.
I also grew up in a very strict household. So we had
Right.
corporal punishment. We grew up in a very religious household. So we had that whole, the father is the head of the home, and then you do what you're told type of situation.
Right. So religious and patriarchal.
Yes, it's never a good combination to grow up in. It's
No.
my experience is it's not really healthy. So it's weird. I was never like the top athlete or anything. I was always kind of average. Even at school, I wasn't getting top marks for anything, but I was always like in the top 11, maybe not the top
Right.
10. So I was always just like floating in the middle kind of situation. I remember when I was younger, I used to ask my mom if my dad loved me, because
Right.
if when we were younger, if we wanted to sit on his lap, for example, he would say, "Oh, he forgot his lap at work, so we can't sit on it." Or if you sat
Okay.
close to him, he would like kind of push you away. Or if you said you loved him, he would just go like,
Wow. That sounds rejecting and very painful.
It's not very nice. But then my mom would say, "Oh, but he loves you very much." But
So wait, so the message was that somebody who's completely emotionally distant and dismissive loves you.
Yes, because he's my dad. So of course he loves you. And my
Did you
dad
believe
suffered.
her?
No, I still don't
Okay.
think I believe her.
Okay. Well, that's something that you were critically thinking enough to be able to kind of. That
I
doesn't
didn't felt
track.
loved. I felt seen if I reached a certain goal academically. Because I remember when I got my master's, my daughter was still a baby. I finished my master's just before she was born. And I remember for the graduation, my parents insisted on going, even though my husband and I paid for the degree.
Right.
My parents insisted on going, and my dad loved telling everyone, like I had gotten my master's, and I also was the top postgraduate student at the university for that year. So I got like a medal, and I had like a lunch with the dean of the faculty and stuff like that. And my dad and my mom loved telling people about
being able to brag about it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also, when I did my postgrad degrees, I did a double honors at the same time. And my parents loved telling people that not
Wait a minute. Sorry, did you just say you did a double honours and a master's at the same time?
No. I did a double honors at the same time.
Okay,
So I got
fine.
two separate.
Do I know what that means? Oh, separate degrees. Okay.
Two separate honors degrees, yes. And my parents loved to say that. Yes, it seemed like a really good idea at the time because I was interested in both of the subject areas.
No, I think I can see why you would do it, but it's and sorry, and you graduated out of those and went into postgrad after that?
No, I started working, and then about maybe 6 years after that, I started doing my master's.
And so when you did those degrees, they were bragging about those as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
And were they doing it to you? Were they saying to you how amazing you were for doing that? Or was it telling everyone else?
It was telling everyone else.
Okay.
So it's really weird with my parents. Now, in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, don't want to share any accomplishments that I have with them.
And why do you think that
Any.
is?
Because they are, I'll tell you, my mom's and my dad doesn't have a reaction, or when I see him, because my dad doesn't talk over the phone or anything, but when we see him, he will like say, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." But it makes me extremely uncomfortable. It makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Tell
My
me a bit
mom,
about the
it's weird
discomfort.
in my body. It's like my whole body wants to reject what it is that you're saying to me. Like
What do you, what,
like
go on.
my shoulders want to wiggle, and then it's just it's
Can
almost
I,
like I'm repulsed by it. I don't. It's
yeah,
a
it sounds
weird
like
sense.
repulsion.
It's a weird
Well,
sensation.
I'm, I'm going to posit something and then, or propose something and then let me know if it lands. If it doesn't, by all means say, no, that's not it. I wonder how intrusive it feels, how much it feels like ownership of you.
It does. It feels to me, especially with my mom, because my mom will then be
Okay.
overly like, "Oh, we're so proud of you. Oh, you're so amazing."
Oh,
And
okay.
it feels like they are taking, like they are taking it for themselves.
Yes.
So
And
instead of
also
it
there's
being
something
about
about,
me, it's now
mhm,
about them being very proud of me.
right. And then the language is really interesting because, so there's also something about the idea that we only see you when you meet our standard that we can use for
Yes.
our own image. And that feeling annoying because it's like they're assuming you've done it to impress them for their
I
pride.
I think not necessarily to impress them, but it's almost like they are hoarding it so that they can go and tell their family. My mom is very enmeshed with her family. My dad is, if he had his way, he would be estranged from his family. But
Okay.
it's like my mom hoards these tidbits so that when she phones her family, she can say, "Oh, did you hear what my daughter's
Yes.
doing? Oh,
Hmm.
did you hear what my daughter's husband is doing? Oh, did you hear their son did this? Oh, did you hear their daughter did that?" And then within
Right.
48 hours, I will get a voice note from a cousin or a message from an aunt saying, "Oh, we hear from your mom that this wonderful thing has happened to somebody in your family." And it just leaves me hollow. It's I would rather not share with them than have the feeling or have that conversation with my mom when she goes, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. Oh, it's such a lovely thing that happened to you." It leaves me hollow. Like there's no connection for me with that.
There is a sense of them trading off your achievements
Yes.
and that ownership. I'm going to go back to the bit about language where I said, that thing about pride. And with my own children, I'm very, very careful to say to them, "You're so impressive. That's so impressive. You are so impressive. I'm impressed by you." So that they are holding ownership of that achievement. Because when I say I'm proud of you, it's like you have to earn my pride of you, but they should be proud of, and what I will also
Themselves.
do is yeah, exactly. Be proud of themselves. Now, are you proud of yourself? Do you feel proud of you? You've got every right to feel proud
Yes.
of yourself. And I wonder for you whether hearing it positioned that way for yourself. So when you've gone and I've got my 2 degrees or got my medal for my masters, if they had said to you, "Gosh, that's so impressive. You must tell everyone, you must be so proud of yourself, or you've got every right to be so proud of yourself." How would that have felt compared to what they do?
I think it would have felt better, but I don't think they've ever framed it that way.
No, I'm sure they haven't. But I want to
Um,
notice to you the difference in that language of you impress me and I'm proud of you because I own you and therefore here is my thing I am proud of.
what
Right?
I try to do with my own kids, I try to be very intentional with the way that
Mm-hmm.
I speak to them, and with the I try to be intentional and aware of the effect of the words and the language that I use with them. So I also do the same when they do well on a test, or they have an accolade, or they worked really hard on something and it looks really good. I will praise the effort. So I will say, well done. I saw you studying so hard and you
Right.
wanted to hit this specific mark, and you
Amazing.
did. And then I will tell them, I hope that you're really proud of yourself because you worked really
Okay.
hard for this.
And that bit
Because
about rewarding the effort is the bit that's super important, because we don't always achieve as a result of our effort. We sometimes will work really hard and not get what we were hoping for, but it's not really, results are also subjective, right? Like if we position, I mean, I could go down a big old rabbit hole, and we're not going to do that now. I'm going to bring us back to invisibility and notice the idea of you're only seen when you meet their expectation or standard, or
a metric
something
that they have in their mind.
some kind of arbitrary, this is
Yes.
what shows people are a good person. So
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
What do you mean?
Do you feel that that's an accurate summation of
how they
how they
Yes.
respond to you and your visibility? So you only are visible when you meet an expectation of their own.
Yes, of their own. And I mean, obviously, I'm not studying anymore. I'm a mom and I
Right.
work full time. But now the metric is sometimes how well my kids do, whether it's academically or what they've
Right.
achieved or how well behaved they are. Conversations that you can have with my kids. My kids are very articulate. They can hold their own in a conversation up to a point, obviously, because they're still teenagers. But my mom will then say, oh, you have such wonderful kids. It's because you and your husband are such wonderful parents. You're just fantastic, amazing parents. And that also gives me the ick. I don't know. It gives me the ick when my parents praise me for things.
What would
Because
happen
it's
when you were
also
praised
very
as a child?
I can't remember really ever having like accolades or all the praise being on me.
Because I wonder, there's something there about you being seen, and I wonder if being seen actually feels uncomfortable.
It does.
Okay,
It does.
let's talk about that. Because you said noticing when I feel invisible so I don't become pick me. And, well, you didn't, those are not your exact words. That's what I wrote down in terms of your goal setting kind of thing. So first of all, I'd love to understand what you mean by pick me. And then we'll go back to that invisibility, because it seems like when you're being seen, you don't like it.
No, I
But also
hate
you
it.
want it.
I think I want the feeling of being seen.
Okay.
If we talk about my family of origin, because in my in-laws, I don't experience that at all. With my mom-in-law, I feel seen, I feel heard. Like I can't wait when something happens,
Right.
like a good thing, to tell my
Yeah.
mom-in-law.
Okay.
But if my husband asks me, "Oh, did you tell your mom?" Then I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll tell her when I see her," or "I don't know if I'm gonna tell her about this."
Right.
It's weird.
Right.
There was an interview that I think it was Nadia Hussein did, and she was
Right.
saying on her worst day, if she had the worst day ever, she would never phone her parents because they would just make her feel worse. And I feel like not only would I not call my parents on my worst day, I would not call them on my best day.
Right. Because
Because their praise would make me feel empty. It's I don't
that's
know
so
how.
powerful. You're getting it. There's something there, even in that, the fear I'm not communicating correctly. I'm not sharing this properly.
Yes.
What's that about? What is it that you're fearful I'm not going to understand?
I think it's just, I'm fearful that you would view me as too much or too dramatic. I've always been told by my parents that I'm too much and I'm so dramatic. My mom has a saying where when I do try and talk about things, she's like, I can't speak to you when you're like this. Which,
Oh, for God's sake.
but which has now become a saying in our house, which we make fun of.
Right.
To when somebody in the kids or my husband or I, when you are calling someone out on their behavior and they go, I can't speak to you when you're like this. So in our house, it's now shorthand for actually like you're calling me out and I'm calling you out and you just don't like the way that I'm doing it.
Okay.
And I have always thought I was dramatic until I mentioned it to my in-laws and they were like, you are the least dramatic like person we've ever met. And I was like, no. And I was trying to convince them. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I have always been too sensitive and always been too dramatic. And then it's weird when you learn from people who've known you for a while that what other people who've known you longer say about you maybe isn't true.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then
you wonder, what do they gain by telling you those things?
And why would you lie? Because why would you tell your child they're dramatic if they're not dramatic? For me, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so let's answer the question. Why would you tell your child, that they are dramatic when they're not?
I think because you don't want to answer them or you don't want to deal with them. You want them to just go away.
And why might you want that?
I think maybe you don't like your kids or you don't like how your kids make you feel. I think with my mom, it's maybe she doesn't like how I make her feel sometimes.
Because
I think my mom, especially my mom, has a certain image as a mother that she has cultivated in her family. My mom's side of the family is quite close. I think after reading your book, I would say they enmeshed. I always thought it's just lovely growing up where like everybody knows everything and they call you within like an hour of you telling someone something to find out if you're okay because it means they care about you. Now I'm like, oh no, maybe that's not the healthiest way of supporting someone. If you hear something, is maybe give them a little space or wait for them to tell you what they're going through rather than hearing it from a family. Because it's like that telephone game that you play when you were a kid and you whisper in someone's ear. Because sometimes when my cousins contact me or tell me what they heard, then I'm like, oh, I don't know, like this is completely, half of the story is true, but half of the stuff is completely made up.
Right. It seems like information is the currency in your mother's eyes.
It is. And I think that's also why in the past couple of years, I have deliberately withhold information from her. So when she, I have also very gradually gone very low contact with my mom. They visit a lot. The city that I live in, all my mom's family lives in the same city as I do. And all my dad's family, except for one, also lives in the same city. And they all live within like a 20-kilometer radius from each other and from myself. We live in a fairly large city, but it's actually a very small town.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, totally. Totally.
My parents come to the city where I live quite often because there's always either a birthday or a celebration or all their doctors are here. My parents live in a rural area. And then they stay over with us because we don't have an extra room, but my son was willing to move out of his room whenever they came to visit and then stay with
Right.
us. We were happy with that.
Right.
Because the kids were younger.
Right.
And they didn't mind that it's nice when my parents come to visit.
Sure.
But about, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, my mom broke her back. She had a fall and then she had to have spinal fusion operation.
Wow. Okay.
And then we, of course, my husband and I said, no, you can move in with us for the period after the operation. And she couldn't walk very far. So obviously we'll move out of our room with the ensuite bathroom. We'll move into my son's room. They stayed with us all in all for about 2 months, which was, my husband and I have a saying when we have challenges in our marriage that we call it a growth opportunity.
Okay.
So during, during those 2 months, our marriage had a wonderful growth opportunity.
Okay.
Presented to us on an almost daily manner. But it was weird for me during that time period when I was helping my dad take care of my mom to see my mom in action when you tell her something and then she goes and tells everybody else. Because usually you don't see that part. Usually I tell her over the phone and then I don't know what happens after that.
Okay.
Or to experience my eldest brother coming to visit. My middle brother lives in a town close by, but not too close. And then seeing the interaction that they have and when he leaves, the way that she talks about him.
Okay.
And the way that she talks about the interaction. And he's always been the scapegoat. Honestly, he has never been able to do anything right. And I have always kind of agreed with her. And as I've gotten older and as my kids have gotten older, and I look at my kids and I go, I would never say this about my own child to somebody else. Like, why would my mom say this about her child? I remember my mom used to say, my brother has always been an issue in the family because before the rest of us were born, his main goal in life was to get them to divorce. And my brother...
Hang on a minute. Did I just hear that correctly? Your mother said that your brother's main goal in life was to get who to divorce?
My parents.
Since what age?
It would be since before my younger brother and I was born, and they differ 4 years. So she's saying as a 4-year-old.
She's saying
yes.
He wanted your...
Yes.
Okay, let's just pause there for a moment. How does that projection, because it is, serve her? What is it that she's saying in that? Why would she assume that he would want that?
The way that she explained it to me when I would ask, she would say, oh, because he never liked your father. He wanted me just for himself. But I have since had a similar experience happen to me where, so like I said, I've always been kind of floating in the middle. So I'm never the favorite unless I do something for them or unless my husband does something for them. My parents absolutely adore my husband. And coincidentally, my husband's family and my family actually know each other very well because my aunt and my mom-in-law are best friends and my husband and my cousin are best friends. So the families have known about each other. Right. She's kind of been aware of my husband ever since he was young, but they adore him. And my brothers say he's the son that they've always wanted because
the one they didn't raise?
The one they didn't raise. Because
Sorry, that was very flippant of me, but wow.
No, but I mean, it can't be nice to say that about your brother-in-law. to look at the way that your parents interact with them, and then you go, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
to see
he's the
that
favorite. They
that
like him the
rejection.
best. And my dad has actually tried it with me and my sister-in-laws, where he would make the joke offhandedly of saying, oh, he'll see which of his daughters love him the most. And then my reply has always been, does he remember King Lear and how that ended? Because it did not end well for King Lear when he tried to pitch his daughters against each other. And then I would
Right.
always aim to tell him that he only has one daughter. He has two daughter-in-laws, but he actually only has one daughter.
And how does he react to that?
He just laughs. He just...
Let's go back to you and your invisibility, because I'm hearing it being reinforced over and over again, but not just for you, but also your brothers as well. And motive and intention and behavior projected onto you all. I'm not sure about your middle brother yet, but I'm intrigued by that particular relationship, because let me rephrase my wording. Actually, let me correct myself and say, for your older brother and for you, I am hearing this invisibility and these projections. Yeah, is that fair?
Yes, I think it is fair. Maybe I can say what happened recently, actually after I submitted my...
Oh, okay.
Because that is how life works. You think you want to work on something, and then life says, well, let me present you with a growth opportunity.
Here you go. You can have a reminder of what you're doing.
So I would desperately like to stop growing now. But I recently, and this ties back to when I realized I was feeling invisible at work.
Right.
I recently started... You know how AI is everywhere. So I recently started a project at the place I'm employed in, like an educational type of institution,
right,
to provide guidelines and just what is AI and stuff like that, which is very needed. There isn't something like that. And I started the project and I managed the project, and from start to finish, we did it in record time, and it's really, really good. And then I pitched the idea to our educational institution, has like a broadcasting radio type of thing that they talk to their students. So I pitched the idea to them to do a series. And then they said they would love to.
Okay.
So that was a nice thing for me, because I was like, oh, this is nice. Now I get to talk to people. And the reason why I pitched it to the radio was because in my work environment, my managers didn't want to distribute the guide that we had created. They would say, oh, they understand why it's necessary and they'll do it. But if I follow up, nothing happens. And if you say when, nothing happens. Right. So then I approached it this way. So I was really excited about doing it. And then the week before the first broadcast, my parents were actually here. They didn't stay over. They came for coffee. And all the way home, I was thinking, should I tell my parents about this? Because it's nice. I'm really proud of the project we did. And now it gets broadcasted further. And the radio interview was also going to be broadcasted on our local TV show in the town, in the city that I live.
Okay.
And I didn't want to say anything. And then when I got home, my mom was talking to my son about his online video games that he plays that is hyperfixation. And my dad was talking to my husband. So I thought, oh, you know what? I don't have to tell my mom because I don't want to. But my dad has always been like really supportive in a vaguely grandpa sort of way of like, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but I'm proud of you, patting you on your back type of thing. And he was talking to my husband. And then when there was a lull in the conversation, I said, oh, by the way, I did this thing at work and it's being streamed live. And it's also going to be on TV, the local TV station. So, you know, I did this thing. And I shit you not, he took out his phone to tell me, oh, he can't stream on the phone that he has. and they are going on holiday, so he doesn't think he'll be able to do it. And he put his phone down and then started talking with my husband about a family member who had recently bought a car, saying, have you seen the car? And have you heard about this car? And I just stood there going, I knew I shouldn't have said anything.
How old did you feel in that moment?
Like 4.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
I want to ask you, when you were telling that story, just as you got towards the end, when you were saying the bit of when you were, like, you waited for the lull in the conversation, what was happening in your body then?
I felt like a pressure here on my,
Okay.
what is it, on my chest?
On your sternum? On this?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
on the top part, yeah.
And so what are you feeling as you were telling me? What was the emotion as you, because you changed, your physicality, your body language changed quite dramatically.
I felt invisible.
As you were telling me the story?
Yes. Even
right.
when,
What was the...
Even when I, because I tried to explain to my husband afterwards as well, because it was a growth opportunity for our marriage as well, it turned out. I felt disappointed in myself.
Because
I knew I shouldn't have told him. But then there's a part of
Sorry, hang on.
Sorry.
I'm going back to... You said, I asked you when you were telling me how you felt, and you said invisible as you told me you felt invisible.
Yes. I felt the same way.
Okay, so tell me why you felt invisible right now. Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Is there anything I'm doing that's making you feel invisible?
No, I don't think so.
Because I would love to know if there is.
No, I would say no. I think when I tell someone what happened, like when I was telling my friend as well, there's a part of me that when I say that this is how my dad reacted, that is worried that I overreacted.
So
I want to tell
were you fearful I was going to be like, that's not a big deal?
That's what dads do. Or so he said he couldn't watch. So there's like a part of me that wants to convince you.
Yes, of course.
That
because you've not been
really horrible.
And yet I'm sitting here going, that is a horrendous way to respond to such an amazing achievement as a parent. Even if you don't understand it, that your child comes to you excited and goes, oh, look at this. I've made, like, let's go back to like really early childhood children, and they bring you the picture that they've drawn that you can't tell what it is, but you know that they're really proud of it, but you've got to just like be like, oh, this is amazing. Like, what did you like? How did you think? And you fluff it until you find out. Well, and then I do a cow here, right? Right.
You're like, your shading is amazing in this picture. I'm not sure what it is, but the like the colours.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
And so why is it, if you know that that's the way that a healthy parent is going to respond to their child when they show them something they're proud of, why is it that you think that telling me the story, I'm going to have any reaction other than, that's so unfair of him?
Because I think you will say, but it's not that bad. Like other...
okay.
Like other people
Who said that to you in the past? Oh, what have I said about other people having it worse?
No, I know. And it's bullshit. But that is honestly...
No, but adult you knows that, but little you did not know that.
No, and I'm still experiencing it. My mom-in-law recently had a health diagnosis that is quite scary. And she had to have an operation, and she had to get tested to see if she was diagnosed with a type of cancer. So, and within 4 weeks, she was diagnosed. She had to go for tests. She had to get an operation and everything.
Right. So it's been big and full on.
It has. But throughout of this experience, when my mom-in-law and I are very close, and she's my kids' after school care, and my kids grow up in our house, and we get along really well. We work very hard on our relationship to get along very well.
That's nice.
But throughout this, my mom, when she speaks to me, the few times that she's spoken to me, she will say, they're so sorry to hear about this, but at least it's not this. So at least, yes, she got this terrible diagnosis, but at least it's not ABC. And did she tell me that her neighbor was just diagnosed with this incurable thing, and it's going really terribly with him? And then this family member also has a health thing. And all I want to say is that could very well be true, but still,
there is a reaction to your emotional experience, which is to always minimize, dismiss, deny, and
Yes.
one-up it. What's happening for you right this second? What's the feeling?
It's just sadness.
What's the sadness about?
I love my mom-in-law so much. And it's really scary
Yeah.
to think that I might lose her. Thankfully,
Sure.
thank God, all the tests came back and the operation was successful, and hopefully she'll be with us for a long time. But I don't care that my mom knows other people
Of course you do not.
who are suffering, because I'm suffering and I'm her daughter. So shouldn't I be more important? So instead of her telling me, oh, you know what, I'm so terribly sorry to hear about this, but did you also hear about ABC? Shouldn't she focus on me
Yes.
and how I'm feeling and saying,
Right.
well, how can we help? I know she takes care of your kids after school. Should we come and visit? Do you need...
There's no care of you. There's no care of you. If you're scared of rejection, of saying no, have no idea how to trust people, you're not alone, and you don't have to heal alone either. That's what the Hub is for. It's a membership community designed for survivors just like you. Every month, we dive into powerful courses, we hold live calls, and connect in a supportive, understanding space so you can break free from the past and build healthy, fulfilling relationships. Maybe it's time to stop surviving and instead start thriving. Visit jointhehub.ac today using the code POD20 to get £20 off your first month's membership. I can't wait to see you there. Take care. Bye.
No.
There's no... It seems like... I'm a little bit conscious of a conversation that we had before we started recording around you saying to me, I don't want to bash my parents. I don't want to go down that road. But I'm conscious we're talking quite a lot about their negative impact on you and creating this sense of invisibility.
Yes.
And I just wanted to raise that to respect it, but also notice that by not addressing that and their behaviour and how it's impacted you, we don't get to see the full picture. Can you see that?
I can, but the story still doesn't end. It gets so much worse with this whole...
Of course. Well, let's just focus on this example for a moment. If we just pause for a minute, in that the other thing is that I'm noticing that you are doing too, and I wonder if you realise you do this, which might be key to the noticing when you feel invisible, is you kind of, let me rephrase it to her pattern, your mother's pattern, and in fact your father is to be dismissive. Your mother's pattern is to dismiss with comparison, to almost to one up your situation by saying, well,
Yes.
it's not as bad as, right? or at least it's not. At least it's not is one of the least useful phrases in the entire language, along with we've always done it that way and those are the rules or something. But because when we say at least, we say you're not allowed those emotions, right?
Yes.
And so I noticed from your sort of telling is that you feel she does dismiss your emotional experience, but I'm noticing you do it too for yourself. So you will tell me about, like, let's talk about your mother-in-law, the terrifying sort of reality of looking at her mortality in the face, in that she's facing this cancer diagnosis, all of those things, and if you were to go back and rewind and listen to, and hopefully you will do that,
yes.
And you also, by the way, you will get a copy of this to keep for yourself. So regardless of whatever happens in the future, you get this copy. And what I noticed there is you dismiss your own feelings in your language. Like as you were telling the story of her going through the cancer, the testing and the operation and stuff, you sort of skip onto the next story before allowing it to kind of sort of land and bed in. And
Yes.
what that might indicate to me is that you do what you've learned to do what your mother does, which is dismiss your own feelings, and your father dismiss your importance, right? And that therefore means that you are not in tune with your emotional experience, maybe.
No.
And not, is that a fair thing?
It is, because with this whole situation with my mom-in-law, as I said to you at the beginning, my husband lost his father at quite a young age. His father had a brain cancer,
Right.
and since before he was born. So my husband grew up in a house where they knew his father was going to pass away, and he passed away when he was still a teenager. So, but my in-laws don't talk about those things.
Right.
So what really struck me with this month, and I can't believe it's only been a month, is like nobody wants to talk about how scary it is, which I completely understand. I completely understand that it's overwhelming for my sister-in-law and for my husband, and I completely understand it. But I want to talk about how scary it is. But I don't have anyone to talk to except my best friend, who lives in another country but is fantastically supportive. But I'm scared that if I start, then when you're scared to feel something because you're worried that when you do, like, you will just be engulfed with it.
Let's use an I word.
Okay.
I am scared.
I am scared that if I sit with the fear of losing my mom-in-law, that it will just like drown me. And it's the same feeling I have with confronting my parents about their behavior, which after the way that my dad dismissed me, he actually followed up the next week. He phoned me very friendly and upbeat to tell me, oh, I mentioned that I was going to be on the radio, but I didn't give him any detail, and they would love to watch it. And then, and Helen, as I said this, I knew this was not going to end well for me. I told him, oh, no, that's not true. I told you, and you ignored me.
Right.
And he said, no, I didn't. And I said, no, Dad, you took out your phone and you said, oh, your phone can't stream. And then you proceeded to ask my husband about the family with the new car. I said, and then you didn't speak to me for the rest of the visit. You literally didn't speak to me again for the rest of the visit. And my dad put the phone down in my ear immediately.
Right. First of all, I am so impressed. I'm genuinely really impressed that you called it and you named it and you told him and you held him accountable. The fact that he responded to you sharing his behavior and how it impacted you by putting the phone down
Yes.
is disgusting, but also shows me exactly why you don't share feeling.
Because I didn't share my feeling. I literally just said what he did. I didn't get
Right.
to the part of,
You didn't
and it
even
made,
get as far.
no.
Right.
I just said, you ignored me, you dismissed me, and then you talked to my husband for the rest of the visit.
Right.
And then,
so, go on. Sorry.
and then my husband came past and he was like, what is that about? And I said, no, this is what happened. And I said to him, I'm expecting a call from my mom within half an hour. My mom's going to phone me. And within 20 minutes, my mom phoned me and proceeded to, what is the English? Like when you are just like, they just go off on you and just tell you
Like,
how terrible you are.
berate you? Like,
yes.
Right.
Because she told me what I had said to my father had upset him so much that he was now beside himself. And the fact that he is now beside himself has caused problems in their marriage. So now she is beside herself, and I need to phone my father and apologize. But because I've read your book and I listened to your podcasts, and I have a friend, my best friend is in therapy, and I always like joke with her and say, like, we are in therapy because
like vicarious therapy. Yeah.
I was able to be very calm. So I told my mom, I'm so sorry. None of this is true. Like, I am not responsible for the way my father acts or the way that he feels, because he's an adult. So if he's losing his shit, that is not on me. And you shouldn't actually be phoning me. This is inappropriate of you phoning me, because the conversation I had was with my father. But now you are phoning on his behalf, but you are not apologizing. You are saying this has caused a problem in your marriage within half an hour. Like, how strong is your marriage if you can have a problem in your marriage within half an hour? So I say to her as well, like, I am not taking responsibility for the problems that you are experiencing because I called out his behavior. Like, you have to sort that out for yourself.
And how did she respond to that?
Not well. It did not land very well. So I was called selfish. I was called dramatic. She was reiterated just in what a terrible state my father is, and this is just terrible. And the conversation ended on a sour note for her. I was able to be, and it's weird, Helen, the calmer I got, the more upset and rude she got. Because I was trying really.
Do you understand why?
Not really. It upset her. My calmness made her lose her shit even more.
Right. Why? But can you see why?
I think if I stay calm, then in the way that she then can talk about this incident to people, I can't be the villain. Whereas
but she can rewrite it for her version. So let's think about what, in that immediate moment, how would she have benefited from you getting angry or upset or emotional instead of being calm? What would it have done for her?
I think it would have let her off the hook, because then we're talking about me.
Well,
and my behavior.
Yes, to a degree, but also there's something. Okay, I don't want to make you guess or feel like you're on a.
No, you might have to help me out a bit.
But I'm going to. What I notice is her not having power over you with her emotions. You did not capitulate by getting either upset or apologizing or groveling or all of the things that she might want you to do in response to her emotional state, because her emotions have been used to silence you, control you, dictate. I mean, the idea, I was thinking about the fact that you are aware that you are an accident as a child, as a baby.
It is a very weird thing to be aware of.
Right. And that she said the same about your middle brother being an accident.
Yes, but he was a happy accident.
Right. And what about your older brother?
She never really talks about whether they planned him or not. She just always talks about how he was terrible as a baby and such a difficult child. And she never wanted to have kids after that. And then by accident, she had my middle brother, and he was just lovely. He was this pudgy, happy, friendly, like baby who was just so easy. And then 9 months later, she was pregnant with me, and then she was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have like 2 kids under the age of 2."
You've had children, right? You've got
My
2
kids
children.
differ less than 2 years, so
Right.
I've had
Well, no, hang on. Well,
same
the thing is,
experience.
you know, and it's accidents do happen, of course.
But
But if you
unplanned is
have
not
one
unloved.
accident, unplanned is definitely not unloved. But if you have an accident or an unexpected, I don't like the word accident. If you have an unexpected, a surprise pregnancy, and it was not something that you wanted, would you not go to extra lengths not to want it? Not to let it happen again?
You would, but I think, like I said, I grew up very religious.
Which religion? Catholic? Are we talking Catholic?
In my country, what would it be? It would not be Catholic. It would be Protestant. It would be the equivalent of Protestant,
so like
or
Church of
Baptist
England
type of situation, yeah.
Okay.
But maybe more conservative even than that.
But contraception being allowed?
Yes, but my mom has told me as I gotten older and had kids and stuff that she does not believe that is right. Like God gives you, she has this attitude of each child is born with like its own bowl of food, which is such bullshit, because you have to plan kids.
Can you hear the self-contradiction? You and your middle brother are accidents, yet babies are given by God. I don't believe in contraception. I think that babies arriving are gifts
at the time
from
that
God.
They should. Yes, that is
right. So you're not an accident. By her logic and her beliefs and value systems, you were never an accident. You were a gift.
I was a gift, but I think she might want to return me.
Which is right, but that means that she's in her own self-denial somewhere in there of what her power and what have you is, right? But also, what do you think the purpose of sharing with you? I'm a little conscious of our time. What is the purpose of sharing with you the idea that you were an accident? What do you think she gains from that?
I don't know.
What did it make you feel?
It made
when
me
you were
feel
smaller?
It made me feel very small and unloved and not.
Right, and then what did that mean?
Anticipated. Like you are not happy because you didn't. Like this wasn't something you wanted. This was just something you got. Like you wanted
and so
something
then as
else,
a child,
you got.
You know you're not. Right, so as a child, you know you're not wanted, expected. So what does the child then internalize and think, perhaps? Just take it out of yourself and think about any child being told you're an accident.
I think they would feel they're not important. They're not. Like you didn't want them.
Right, and then how would it affect their behavior, do you think?
Is this where I say, oh, you would like do everything you can to make them show you that you should have wanted me?
No.
No.
It's interesting that you're trying to guess what I think. It's like, what's happening in that even?
I don't think I know the answer, but I
Okay,
think I
and that is
should
fine.
know the
So,
answer.
no, not necessarily. Tell me what it's like not to know the answer, not to have an answer.
I don't like
What
it.
fear? Okay, what's the fear?
If I don't have an answer, then I don't know what's going on.
And then what?
And then I can't plan for whatever's going to happen.
And then what?
And then whatever happens, happens, and I don't know necessarily what to do, or
Okay, and then what?
and then I might not know what to do or to say.
And then what?
And then I'm not in control of what happens to me.
And then what?
Then somebody else is in control. If they know more about this than I do,
Okay. And then what?
then I don't have any power.
Okay.
I'm a
And then
victim
what?
of the
Okay, and
situation.
I have no power. I'm a victim. I am,
Invisible
yeah,
feels
maybe?
to me.
Is that what it is?
I don't matter. Is that the same as being invisible?
Well, you tell me. Does it feel the same?
A little bit. But
I wonder if it's
hate it.
if I don't know the answer, I've got no voice. I've got no right to use my voice.
Yes, because you don't have an opinion if you don't know. So
Right.
if you talk about things because you feel it, that is different than when you know about the subject. So
Okay. So if
people will
you
listen when you talk because you know what you're talking about, versus, oh, this is how I feel about it.
right.
I feel
So
it's not
you
worth
are
as
easier to
much.
dismiss without the facts. If
Yes,
it's just feelings,
because
if it's just feelings, you're much easier to dismiss. Your mother can, well, they've got it worse, so your
she can
feelings
say
are,
no, but I don't feel that way. Like, I don't
right.
feel that way, or he doesn't feel
So
like, and yeah.
you can't trust your feelings if there's no understanding around,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
if I can't back up my feelings with evidence, I literally have no chance of being heard or seen.
Yes. I feel like I have to present a case. Like,
Right.
here's my sources. I feel this way, but then also, like, I have read this and I have
Okay.
watched this and I have.
So you are, it seems there's a theme of you needing to convince people that you're important.
But that sounds arrogant.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Are you saying I'm more important than other people? Or are you just saying I have an equal seat at the table?
It's an equal seat, but then I would rather say I matter.
Okay.
Importance feels
Let me ask you, let me
arrogant.
take it outside. Well, it's okay, but let's take it out. And that's a subjective interpretation of that. So let's take it out of your experience. And if your child said to you, I need to feel important, would you think they were being arrogant?
No,
Why not?
because they are important.
Okay, so why is it if you feel important, that's you being arrogant?
Because I don't think I matter as much
Because you were
as my
told,
kids do.
right? Because that's been modelled to you. You were told. The reason I asked you about the accident, the reason I brought that back in, is the communication in you were an accident to any child is a similar one to you were adopted. Not the same, but similar, of you need to be grateful that you're here to me. And that means you don't get to
Yes.
complain. That means you don't get to criticize or share your opinion or want something different than I think is right. Because you are only here because I allowed your existence.
do
And
think that's
okay,
how
go
they,
on.
yes. No, I do
And
think that is, I think that is how I feel with them. And as I have started like reading your book and reading up on children of emotionally immature parents, when I give a little bit of pushback, which I never used to do, like I was never a problem child. I never had a rebellious phase. I never cut off all my hair and dyed it pink. I didn't go out with boyfriends that were unsuitable. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I don't drive fast. Like I didn't do any of those things.
you didn't live, Catherine. You didn't get to find out who
No,
you are beyond
but it,
their expectation because it would have been a betrayal of them and their standard.
yes, but now and then something happens in your 40s.
Oh,
Something
yes, doesn't
happens
it
in your
just?
40s where you are just like, I don't know if this is what I want to do anymore. I mean, I don't want to cut my
Right,
hair and dye it pink and stuff like that. But I just want to do things that I want to do and that
right.
makes me happy. And
And what does that mean then to be able to do those things? What do we have to be able to believe?
that I'm important enough
Right, to
to
be allowed to
choose
do it.
the things that make me happy.
So, I am really conscious of time, and I actually think
Yes.
I wonder if, because normally at this point I would say to you, do you feel like you're getting what you need or what you came for? And I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet, because we still haven't pulled apart this idea of where you notice feeling invisible. Now, I can very easily say to you that because you're so out of tune with your emotion, because your emotions have been so threatening to your relationships, it's no wonder you don't notice until like it's right in your face. But
Yeah.
what I would
And
love to do,
until it
what I would
engulfs
love
me.
to do, right, until it's drowning you, which is also why to be able to talk about your fear of the situation with your mother-in-law, the fear or any emotion is that you will be overwhelmed by it because you've never been allowed to experience it and come all the way through it and allow it to pass through, right? It's either been up, overwhelming, or absolutely not allowed to have it at all. You've never
Yes.
allowed the roller coaster. You only ever experience the emotion when it's full volume, right?
Yeah, when I couldn't have avoided it anymore. Like it sneaks up
Right.
on you in weird little ways.
Well, it does when you're not in tune with yourself, right? So if I give you an example of this week, twice I went to bed and found that I had left all my clothes, my clean washing on my bed in organised piles for me to put away that I'd forgotten that I was going to put away, and then got on with my day and gone up to bed and been like, for fuck's sake, like I've done it again. And then realising, hang on, this is an odd thing for me. I do this now and again because I'm a human being, but to do this twice in a week, that's really not normal for my behavior. What else is going
What
on
is
that I'm
going
not
on?
aware of? Right? So immediately I noticed a change in my behavior or an anomaly, and I'm like, okay, sit back and reflect what's happening. And it's just that I've got a lot on my plate and that I'm tired and what have you, right? And I'm probably juggling far too many balls. That then means that I have to reflect and go, right, which balls are plastic, which ones are glass, what can I drop, what do I have to hold in the air? And
Yes.
of course, the children are always going to be the ones that are held in the air. But if you're not in tune with that, if you're not looking and noticing and aware, only noticing when the emotion is this big, it's going to engulf and drown you because you're not noticing it crescendo and then diminuendo, right? What I'm thinking, if you are open to it, is that we do a part 2, because I think there is a lot more to uncover under this. And I think if you're open to that idea, I would love to keep going and get you to the place where you have got those tools through a second episode. What do you think?
My immediate thought.
Yeah, I noticed a massive reaction. I'm really intrigued.
my
I can't
immediate
take up your
thought.
time.
My immediate thought is, but I'm like not important enough for
Uh-huh.
like
And
two
yet,
whole episodes.
But who gets to decide that? Why do you get to decide that? When it's like my podcast, my decision, my...
I know, but I find myself wanting to talk you out of it, to say like, no, but this is like normal stuff that everybody deals with.
And how does that help you?
It doesn't.
No, it does. How does it help you? What does it do? Think about it. If you convince me you're not important enough and that it's just normal and that everybody deals with shit like this, what does that mean?
I can get away with not talking about it further.
You don't have to look at it, and you can keep believing that narrative.
Which I don't want to do, because what you were talking about of like allowing yourself to feel the feeling and then move through it is exactly what I try and teach my kids. To tell them that it's like when you're at the ocean and a big wave comes. If you're gonna stand, it's gonna like crash you down and the sea's gonna take you in. But if you just sit down, the wave will go over you and you'll tumble a bit, but when it draws back in, you'll be fine. You'll be wet.
Okay. But also sometimes go on, sorry.
No, but you'll be fine. So it's like I'm trying to teach my kids stuff that I don't know how to do yet.
Okay.
So maybe then a second episode is a good idea, because I still don't know how to do this.
Okay. And I would offer, with the wave analogy, which I love, by the way, is that sometimes we need a surfboard, sometimes we need a jet ski, sometimes we need someone to show us where to sit or stand or how to ride the wave. Because if you haven't grown up being taught that, you've got to learn as a grown-up, and that's hard.
No, it sucks. Helen, it sucks reparenting yourself as an adult. It sucks.
It does. And it's not fair that you have to. Okay, so why don't we arrange to meet again and continue with what we're doing? But in the meantime, until we do manage to rearrange this, or to arrange part 2, I wonder if I might leave you with a question to reflect on, in that when you're spending so much energy and time convincing everybody else that you matter, that you aren't invisible, that you don't want to be invisible, that you're important actually enough not to be invisible, I wonder if you have considered whether or not you're actually trying to convince yourself that you are important and that you don't have to be invisible. Who gets to decide whether or not you're invisible? Now, nobody's going to see your reaction because they don't get to see your video. What was that was an interesting facial expression. It seemed like a bit of a, oh yes, okay, fuck you, Helen, for hitting something.
I think it's...
In the nice way, not in a nasty way.
No, I understand. I think it hits a bit, because if I think I'm important and say I'm important and say at work, I say, look at what I've done. This is important. I have done important work that should be recognized. Or in the family situation, like what I'm feeling is important. It feels like I'm being, I don't know if arrogant is the right word, but I'm being, like I'm taking up space that's reserved for someone else. Like I'm overstepping. It feels like I'm overstepping. Like this is not my lane. Like this is
okay,
where I end.
Okay. Let me offer a different reflection in there then, of what is the risk of you, what do you risk losing by considering yourself important? And I'm going to pause and ask you, not to
My
answer.
homework.
This is your homework until we meet again and we pick this up, because to convince others you're not invisible you need to believe it yourself. Right? Okay. And on that note, I am going to say, let's leave it here. We'll pause and we'll come back to part 2. And thank you so much. And thank you for agreeing to do a part 2. And I guess, well, pleasure. And I guess, as ever, all that remains to be said is take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.